on today's Renpy tutorial, we're going to take a further look at variables and how we can use those in our game. So if you're new here, be sure to hit the subscribe button and maybe the notification bell. And while you're here, also go ahead and check the description below for some ways that you can support me either for free or monetarily. So I do come out with, I'm going to start coming out with tutorials pretty regularly, I hope, as my schedule allows, but I'd like to start doing this more often. So check back later, and I should have some more stuff out very, very soon. If this is the first of my videos that you've seen, or if you're new with Renpy, be sure to check out my earlier videos. I've created a handy playlist that has all of my tutorials in order if you want to start from the beginning. So for this one, you will definitely have to have seen my previous video about variables. So we covered number, boolean, string, and list variables, and now I'm going to show you how to use those in your game script to do different things. So I'm going to go back to my script. This should be as we left it in the earlier tutorial. And the first thing that we're going to do is declare a couple of variables. So I'm going to create variables for my characters Steven and Eileen. And I've still got my character tab open. We're going to do some stuff with this in a couple of minutes where I've declared my two characters. So the first thing we're going to do is declare our variables, and remember I said in the previous video, when you declare a variable, you should use the keyword default. And since we're dealing with names, I'm going to declare these as string variables. So all you have to do is put in default, and then the name of the variable. We're going to call this male character, then equal sign, and then the name in quotations. And then we're going to do default female character and call her Eileen. There we go. So now I've got these two variables, our male character name, which is Steven, and the female character variable, which is, at the moment, Eileen. So what can we actually do with these? The first thing that we can do is we can insert these variables into text. And the way that we do that is really simple. All that we're going to do is, instead of saying, like whenever it says the name, my name is Steven, instead we're going to insert the variable name in square brackets. And the square brackets look like this. Oops, wrong one. There we go. Those are square brackets. And inside of that, we're just going to put the name of our character, which is male underscore character. And I've got autocomplete turned on, so if you have that turned on, it'll autocomplete your variable for you. And then I can go down to Eileen and insert female character in square brackets. And it even highlights in light blue to let you know that that's a variable inside of that string. So essentially all that I've done is I've taken the two name variables and replaced them with our name variables, which are the exact same thing. So just to test that real quick, let's go to start. And there we go. Yeah, everything works exactly like before. So what if we changed that though? If we wanted to change every instance of the name, all we would have to do now is change the variable. So if I change that male character name to David and save that, so now when it gets there, both of these first options are going to say my name is David because I've changed that male character variable. So let's check that out. There we go. So now it's got the variable name in there. So why would we want to do it this way? There are a couple of different reasons. The main reason is that you can give your player the opportunity to name their own characters, which is what I usually do with a main character whenever a game is being told from a first-person perspective, as most of mine are. I'd like to give them an option to name the character, so we're going to go over that in a later video on how to do a custom name, but for now we're just going to do the variables there. So a problem with this one right now is that even though the male character's name is David, it still says his name is Steven whenever it shows his character name. And the way that we can change that is just by going back into our characters file and just changing Steven to our variable. So we're going to change that to male character. Again, we're putting that in square brackets because it is a variable. And then we're going to do Control S to save. And let's run that one again. So now when we go to start, Now his name is always listed as David. Now let's try this. Let's say we wanted to give our player an option to choose these two different names, or to choose between those two different names if we wanted them to be named Stephen or David. Let's go ahead and do that. So I'm going to leave that as male character, and I'm going to go ahead and leave that as David, just by default. And so we're going to say, give him a chance to say my name is Stephen, or my name is David, and depending on whatever the player chooses, we're going to change his name to that. So if you remember before, from our, I think it was our second video that we did, second or third video when we covered the menu, so basically everything that's indented on the next line after that option is going to be run as code. So we're going to go under Stephen, and we're going to change that variable. And just the way we did that before when we did the last video is we're going to have to use a snippet of Python code. So this is only going to be a very simple command, so I'm going to precede it with a $. And then we're just going to change or redeclare our variable. So we're going to change male character to Stephen. There we go. And since it's David by default, we don't even really have to put anything down here, but I'm going to go ahead and do that anyway, just for the sake of consistency. So $, male character equals David. And again, make sure that your variable is in quotation marks. So there we go. Now when we save that, let's go ahead and test it. We're going to go to start. Eileen asks your name, and then if you say Stephen, boom, our name is Stephen. And if we choose the other option, my name is David, now our name is David. So very, very simple way to give your player of your game a little bit of choice over the name of their character. And of course, you could change those variables to anything you want. And later, I'll show you how to do a player input where you can get them to actually type in whatever name they want, which is what I do with my games usually. That one's pretty cool. All right, and we're going to do one more thing before we wrap this one up. Is we're going to use a Boolean variable. So I'm going to create another one called met Eileen. And this one basically is going to be true if you and Eileen have met one another, and it's going to be false if you have not met one another. So I'm just going to do this for illustrative purposes because this is a very short snippet of just these characters meeting for the first time. So first, let's say met Eileen equals false. So since this is a Boolean variable, remember Booleans can only be true or false, and the program will know automatically. You don't have to tell it that you're doing a Boolean variable. All you have to do is say false with a capital F and no parenthesis or no quotation marks. If you put quotations around this, it's going to think that this is a string, and it's not. This is a Boolean variable telling it that you have not yet met Eileen. All right, and to determine whether we've met Eileen, we're going to use something called an if statement. And this is just kind of a switch that we can throw in that's going to take us on different pathways depending on whether or not we've met Eileen. So we're going to say if met Eileen is equal to true. So I'm going to break down what we're doing. We're going to start with the keyword if, met Eileen, and notice here I've done two equal signs. This is a comparison operator. So you probably remember using comparison operators as far back as middle school, or rather elementary school. I think I did use these in like second or third grade. But our comparison operators are equal to, less than, and greater than. And then we also have less than or equal to, greater than or equal to, or is not equal to. So we probably remember doing those, like they would have two numbers like 4 and 7, and you would have to say like greater than, less than, or equal to. So in this case, it would be 4 is less than 7. Or you could do 7 is equal to 7. Except in this, if you use one equal sign, it's going to think that you're trying to set a variable, just like we did up here, which we're not trying to do. So if you're ever using a comparison operator, if met Eileen is true, you have to use two equal signs next to each other. And then it's going to run whatever code is down here in this indentation. So let's do this. Let's say if met Eileen is equal to true, so if you and Eileen have met each other, let's just jump down to the same thing that would happen if we chose say nothing. It's just going to jump to that label and she's going to leave. And then we can insert another block. Actually, let's go ahead and leave it where it is right now, just to show you what will happen. So what's going to happen is these two variables, or three variables rather, are going to be declared as soon as we hit the start button. It's going to show our bar. Then it's going to run this comparison operator. If met Eileen is equal to true, which it isn't, but if it were true, actually, you know, let's go ahead and do that just to show you. So we've already met Eileen. If met Eileen is equal to true, then we're going to jump to the say nothing label. So let's go ahead and run that. All right, so we're going to start. It's loading our background, and immediately jumps to I must be going. It didn't even show the character, because if you notice, I put the if before the character shows up. So let's do this. I'm going to cut that, and I'm going to put it under where we show our character. Also make sure the indentation lines up. That automatically indented one level too far, but we want that all on the same level. Let's get rid of some of that white space. Make that a little bit cleaner. There we go. So now it's going to show the bar, it's going to show Eileen, and if we've met each other, then she's going to just leave. So let's try that one more time. All right, there we go. Immediately jumps down to that label and ends the game. Now let's switch to met Eileen to false. So now what's going to happen is when it runs this comparison operator, it's going to evaluate to false. This is not true. So instead of running that line of code, it's just going to skip it and go right down to the next section, just like nothing ever happened. So it's going to run pretty much just like it did before. Let's go ahead and try that. So we're going to start. Now it goes back into the conversation. And everything else will happen just like before. So one other thing that you can do is you can do other statements under the if. Like if this doesn't happen, then maybe we can do this other thing instead. And we do that with an else statement. So now we have if met Eileen is equal to true, jump to say nothing, and then under that we're going to put this extra statement called else. So basically if this statement doesn't evaluate, then it's going to immediately jump to the else statement and it's going to run whatever is here. So right now, let's go ahead and say pass. Pass is a keyword that means we're just going to pass to the next block. So the pass keyword, sometimes you have to have it and sometimes you don't. Generally, it's safe to go, or it's better practice to go ahead and use it every single time, regardless of whether or not you need it. It's just a good habit to get into. Because if you try to do an else statement that's empty, then the game will crash. I'll show you real quick. So let's get rid of that pass statement and let's launch our project. And so now we get this. Parsing the script failed. Else clause expects a non-empty block. And it tells us exactly where it is. Script.rpy, line 22. So basically it's saying that that block, should be a coding block under else, but right now it's empty and it shouldn't be. So I'm going to go ahead and put in pass. Control S to save that, and we launch it again. And now everything loads in just fine. And it's going to behave exactly as it did before. So really, that else statement is kind of superfluous. You don't really need it there. Some people like to put it there, though, just because it looks a little bit cleaner to some people. Some people, the code looks a little bit cleaner if you don't have it there. So yeah. One other thing that I'll go over real quick is that you can also put other conditions on it. Like this one says, basically that met Eileen can either be true or false. It cannot be anything else. So basically, if it's true, it does this. If it isn't true, it's going to be false, so it has to do this. But you can use something called an elif statement. So now it's going to say if met Eileen is equal to true, jump to say nothing, else if, ELIF stands for else if, this other condition is true, then we're going to do something else. So I'm going to say, like, if met Eileen is equal to false, pass. This does the exact same thing that we just did, but you might sometimes have a condition where multiple things could be true. Like if you're using a number variable, like if this variable is equal to 1, do this. Else if this variable is equal to 2, do this. Else if this variable is equal to 3, do this other thing. And then at the very end, you can have an else statement. Like if none of these things are true, oops, there we go, then do this other line of code. So again, you can have like any multiple of different things that can happen. We might get into a little bit deeper into conditional statements. We definitely will get deeper into conditional statements later, but specifically Boolean statements and how they operate. We might get into the kind of the computer science aspect of it. But basically, all you have to know right now is Boolean is true or false. Just understand how the if and the else and elif statements work, and you'll be in pretty good shape. So if you're have an idea for a game, or if you're starting to think like mechanically about how your game is actually going to work under the hood, you're probably already getting some good ideas as to how you could use these. So again, one way that I use the string variables is to have the player able to name the characters, which again we're going to get into in a later video. They can call them whatever they want in that case. Also, with the true and false variables, the Boolean variables, if you take the example that I used earlier, where have you met this person? Like if you do a free roaming game, then you can have it say, for instance, when you go to Eileen, if met Eileen is equal to false, meaning you haven't met her, she might introduce herself. Hi, my name's Eileen. Who are you? What's your name? But if it is met Eileen is equal to true, meaning you have met each other, she might call you by name and remember that you've spoken to each other before and just go into a whole different dialogue tree. Very, very simple concept to grasp, but really powerful in terms of what you can do in your game. But we'll go ahead and wrap that up for now. In the next one, we're going to get more into number variables and different things that we can do with those, like keeping score and some cool stuff like that, and more with comparison operators. So if you got something out of this video, be sure to hit the like button and subscribe if you haven't already, and check the description for some ways that you can support me, both for free or with money, whichever you choose. And that'll do us all for now. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Goodbye.